In this video, we will talk about creating foreign keys. Now, the entire value of a relational database and what makes it so efficient for storing data comes from the fact that the data tables relate to one another. So this means that you can take a piece of information from one record in one table and find additional information about the record in the parent table. So one thing to keep in mind is when you create a foreign key in a child table, make sure that the data type is same as the parent table. Now, to create a foreign key, what we will need is we'll need to go to our database. In this case, we're going to be using the same demo database that we have been using throughout the course. And what we'll do is we'll create a new table. That new table is going to store order details. So we have a customer table already, and we also have products table. The new table is going to be orders that will store information from customer and products table. How do we do that? So just right click on table, new. Let's just create the table. Table design open. Just type in your column names. Now my first column is going to be called ID, and the data type for this one is int. So I'm just going to store this as a number, and I will store this as an int number. That's this. Allow null. I don't want to allow nulls. The second thing is going to be date. So this is just going to be the order date. I'm just going to call it order date. That's just going to be simple date. So I'm just going to store that as a date. Now, once you've got your order details, so for example, I've got my order ID, now we've got the order dates. What you need to think about is now how you store your customer information. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if you put your customer's first name, last name in your order table, first of all, what you're doing is you're duplicating the information that you already have in your customer table. And the other thing also in here is that you could have more than one customer with same surname and last name. Now, the best way to store that information now is going to be to use or utilize the information that we already have in our customers table. So in this case, I'm going to create a customer ID foreign key in my table order. So I'm going to call this one customer ID. If you open the Object Explorer, we can go into the customers table, have a look into your columns. Now see that the ID column in customer table is ID and it is null, int, but we don't allow nulls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same data type as an int for the customer's ID in my orders table. So I've got customer ID. Now I'm going to use this as an int. I don't want to allow nulls. I don't want to allow nulls on the order data either. So that's my customer details. Now, how do you store your product details in here? I'm going to again do the same thing with storing a reference to product ID in my orders table. Now you've got product ID, and product ID also is an int. So I'm just going to put that int, and I'm just going to remove the nulls. We don't want to allow any nulls. And one last thing which I do want to put in my order details is I want to know how many in quantity the customers have ordered. So I'm just going to do quantity. Now here is quantity, and that's going to be an int. I do not want to allow null in here as well. Now, before we save the table, what I do want is the ID column in our orders table that needs to be a primary key. So to make that as a primary key, I'm just going to click onto here, and then we've got the key column. So click on that. That's set primary key. Now you should have a key icon next to your ID column. So that means it is a primary key. And I also want to say that this is the identity of my column. So I'm just going to say is identity, and that's going to change to yes. So that means that's going to be my primary ID of this table is going to be the ID. So anything that I want to search for in my orders table, I can do that by the ID. Now identity increment is 1, and I'm just going to start the product IDs from 1 as well. So that means it will products will add to the table, and it will start from 1. It will increase by 1 as well. So don't want to make any further changes onto here. Once that's done, I'm going to click on my save icon, and that's just going to say put your order table name. Just going to call it orders. Click OK. Now that's saved for us, so we can close this window, go to Object Explorer. I'm going to click on tables, do a refresh, wait for the system to load up. Now you could see that we've got a new table, and that's called orders. Now, how do you populate this? I'm going to show you a manual way in this video, and in the next video we're going to create relationships using the Management Studio. So if I look into the customers, I'm just going to say select up to 100. Let's suppose we'll pick up a customer. Depends how many do we have. Right, so I'm just going to pick up my first record, that's 100. Top 200. From here, select top 200. So the order ID is an automatic field that's going to populate for us. As we said, it will start from 1. Now I'm going to put the order date. Today is 28th of 7, 2024. Customer ID, just going to say that's 100. So my customer 100 has placed an order. Now product ID, which product is it? Gonna go into the products. Now I've got a few products in. I'm just going to say this customer has ordered product ID number 11. 11, and what's the quantity? Just going to say 2. Enter. Now you've got your orders in your order table. So if you wanted to find out what customer 100 is, go into your customer table, have a look. Now you can see their details. Say about, and that's their address number 1, where they live, what's their postcode. And if you wanted to see what they've ordered is, you can go into product ID 11. Now find in your product tables, you just scroll down, we get to product 11. It's electronics category, and it is a smart TV, and they've ordered 2 in stock. So that is your orders table created. And the foreign keys in this case are your customer ID and product ID are the foreign keys. The orders table is now a child table, and we've got the parent tables as the customer and products. Next video, we will talk about creating this relationship automatically.